I'm Chris,
And I'm Kylie. And this is Redefining Resilience,
where we explore what it means to build a resilient lifestyle
so you can thrive in any and every situation. We're back for another resilience conversation.
Are you guys ready for this?
And it's Haley again.
It's me, Haley. I sing everything.
I do too. It's great. Chris is still slaving away at the office. God bless him. Thank you, Chris. We love you.
Shout out to Chris and your dad.
And my dad.
Both working so hard in there for us.
They're really the MVPs of this office. So
my days of construction are over and I'm not going back.
I was banned. I was told to stay away.
Well, because as women, we tend to micromanage.
What?
So I understand.
I don't think I do that, but
Let's ask Chris.
that's a conversation for a different day.
Right.
Today, we're going to talk about, as we head into the health domain, what we've talked about so far, recap a little bit, and then check in with where we're headed from a health perspective. So we started out this podcast talking about vision. Vision is all about finding purpose and meaning in life, knowing why we're on this planet. When you feel so aligned to your purpose, your goals become very clear. And then you prioritize your day pretty easily because you know exactly what you're working towards.
That's huge.
It's a game changer.
Because if you have no direction.
You feel like a hamster in a wheel.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just hearing you say that, I was like, oh my God. You say it so eloquently.
I had a couple hamsters. I think that's why.
Where are they now?
One ran away. It was devastating.
Just like our attention spans
And
running away.
Fun fact, that hamster's name was Penelope, Tostito, Ricky Schmitz.
Oh my gosh, so many directions.
If that doesn't give you a glimpse into my ADHD brain.
Right. Penelope Tostito, what?
Ricky Schmitz. Okay, so Tostito because I like the chips a lot. And then
The reasoning.
Yeah, Ricky after my dad, Rick
Oh,
Schmitz.
I was thinking maybe Ricky, what's his name? Ricky Martin.
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, I like it.
This is Richard Schmitz, named after. Even though it was a boy middle name for a girl hamster. I don't even know if I knew it was a girl hamster.
Hey, it's Penelope's world. We were just living in it.
I know.
I'm assuming she's passed.
I assume so. I made her a tombstone out of some scrap wood and put R.I.P.
That's nice.
Penelope Tostito Ricky Schmitz.
Doesn't that show you, though, what we're talking about today with reasoning? When we're kids, we don't necessarily have to have a reason for doing things. We just let our creative juices flow.
Oh, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. Unfiltered and raw. Yeah. Anyway, moving on from our vision, we segued into composure, which is all about stress management, emotional awareness, staying calm and in control, and practicing mindfulness so that we can enable all of those things. And from my perspective, knowing your vision also helps with your composure.
Oh, absolutely.
If I'm heated about something, I always go back to, well, does this really matter?
Like, why am I so mad about this? Have you ever seen someone overreacting and you're like, especially since we both worked in the restaurant industry.
Oh, yeah.
And someone's losing their mind over something so minuscule and you're like, man.
Okay, I have one.
How ungrateful are you?
I have one that we need to talk about because I'm still scarred from this. So I had a server come up to me and be like, my table wants to see a manager. And it's like, I get no information and, you know.
No backstory.
I'm too busy. So I'm just like, okay, I'll go over there. So I walk over there and the guy is just livid. He ordered a blackened tilapia sandwich.
First of all, why?
Well, first off, actually that sandwich is good.
It just
surprisingly. Yeah, surprising.
Sorry.
It's like a Cajun fish sandwich, okay? So he orders this fish sandwich, and it comes garnished with a lemon, and apparently he didn't see where the lemon was placed on his plate, and it got, like, scooped up into his sandwich, and when he bit into his sandwich, he bit into lemon and was livid. And he
over
was
the
like,
lemon.
oh, yeah, livid over the lemon. And he was like, is this a joke?
Did he really think that you guys put a
Yes.
lemon wedge on his sandwich?
Yes. And as I'm listening to this, I'm just like, and his wife was just mortified that he was blowing this so far out of proportion. And he's like,
Absolutely.
I was like, can I have the kitchen remake this? All I was going to do was throw the lemon away. I was
Right.
like, do you want me to have the kitchen remake this? And he said, no, I'm going to eat it, but take it off my bill, which is my favorite. Because it's like, well, if you're going to eat the sandwich,
Why
you
would
have
I
to
take
pay
it off
for
your
it.
bill? Yeah.
there was actually nothing wrong with it, but he just, I let him unload and yell at me for a solid like minute or so. And then when he made those requests, I had to calmly, say, I'll take it off your bill, but I have to take the sandwich back if you're not going to eat it, or if you don't want it, if you don't want to pay for it.
Right.
And so,
Logically.
logic doesn't sit well with angry customers. But anyway, that moment I will never forget because I just was beside myself. I'm like,
You know
how did
his
we
wife
get
was
here?
probably so embarrassed, and she probably cussed him out in the car.
Oh, I bet.
Because that's embarrassing that
Yeah.
you are a man-child and you scooped up the lemon wedge,
On your own accord.
bit into it, and actually thought the kitchen did this on purpose to harm me.
Yeah, they weren't even,
What?
they couldn't even see, the fruits of their labor. Ha 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 ha. Fruit of their labor. Get it?
It took me a second, but you saw when it hit.
Yeah, oh yeah. If they actually had done that intentionally, they couldn't even see it from the kitchen. So I'm really not sure where he got this crazy idea. But yeah, that was one. And you're right. Like, if this dude had some vision and perspective in the matter, you'd realize, like, does this really matter? No. It doesn't, because this is not getting in the way of me accomplishing my goals.
For him, you got in the way of his tilapia sandwich.
Oh my God.
I'm just not going to move past the fact that tilapia is probably the worst type of fish you can eat. And he ordered it as a fish sandwich.
Yeah. Oh,
But
yeah.
but we're gonna let him be where he's at.
Yeah, I don't know where you are, live it over the lemon guy, but
He's probably gonna listen to this eventually at some point and be like, oh my gosh, I wonder if she's talking about me. And if you're thinking right now, is she talking about me? She probably is.
and this was in Bloomington, Indiana. You know who you are. Anyway, yeah, so I guess from your perspective, Haley, how does composure relate to vision?
Oh my gosh. The simple metaphor I love is you cannot, just like a pot of boiling water, it's going to be all bubbling up and boiled. When you're mad, if you don't have composure, you're not going to be thinking clearly, and you're not going to be making choices that the composed version of yourself would make.
Oh, yeah.
If you cannot reel in your emotions, because emotions are just energy, and for every thought we have, there's an equal and opposite thought. So when I'm thinking, man, I'm so mad about this, I could also be thinking, man, I don't know why this is happening, but maybe it's an opportunity for me to learn from this. Being able to be composed gives you the option to choose, versus if you're not composed, you're going to be losing your mind over everything. You're going to have no vision. You're going to have no clarity. And if you don't have clarity, you don't have anything.
Yeah, you can't make good decisions.
No.
You really can't. That's where reasoning comes in. So third domain we've talked about is reasoning, which is your ability to reflect, right? So hopefully Mr. Livid over the lemon went home and did some introspection and realized that he did not compose himself during that whole debacle. And maybe think about how he could have handled that situation differently. But we have to be introspective in order to learn from those moments of heightened emotion. Right? And you talked about this in our last conversation, resourcefulness, right? The reasoning, big part of reasoning is being resourceful.
Yes.
And you talked about how as a young child, you were forced to learn how to be very resourceful and figure things out on your own. And what a blessing, because now you're a scrappy little entrepreneur.
Oh, yeah. Even when I was just babysitting, my friend Destiny, she didn't know how to lower the crib. So, like, as your baby gets bigger, baby Riley's 10 months now. So if I had to hold her when I was giving her a nap, because if I would have put her in her crib, she can stand up now, she would have toppled out of it. And Destiny said, why didn't you put her in her crib? And I said, well, I didn't want her to stand up and topple over. I said, why don't you lower it? And she said, well, I don't know how. I popped that mattress out of there. I said, give me a hex tool. She said, what's a hex tool? I said, give me your tool bag. And I went and I fixed it. And she was like, wow, this is so amazing. It's just the resourcefulness, looking at what options I have, what toolkit do I have in life, what emotional tools do I have to get me to the goal that I'm trying to get to. Well, you have to.
And in that specific example, you also demonstrated prevention and planning, because you saw there was a potential risk, took steps to mitigate it, and then you went back and solved the issue when you could.
Absolutely. Well, because it would have been easier for me to lay her down.
Yeah.
Technically. It would have been easier for me to lay her down. I had her little earlobe imprinted on my arm for like an hour after her nap because the girl was sleeping hard. But I think it's also being able to think through what's going to happen, whether it's positive or negative. Sometimes when we can slow down and say, okay, if I do this, which is why Chris has banned you from the construction site.
He's planning and preventing.
Well, because our brains work differently. We're thinking like 10 steps ahead versus men are very short-sighted, which is great because sometimes they can make quicker choices, whereas we tend to think things through more. But being able to be resourceful in that moment, for me, I was able to help my friend out. Now she can lay baby Riley down whenever she needs to, not worry about her toppling out. And I did think it was funny she didn't know what a hex tool was. Now she knows what a hex tool is too. So we killed two birds with one stone.
Oh yeah. And the other part of reasoning is adaptation. So being able to be flexible and adapt to change. I mean, you think about it, everything is changing.
All the time.
In the world, in our lives, around us, people, things, technology.
Oh my gosh. And
plans
for us, like, look at how fast technology has developed just in our lifetime. Like, Jason's 5 years younger than me, and one day we were talking about the internet, and I was like, yeah, I used to hate that, I couldn't be on the phone and the internet at the same time. You had to choose one.
Please tell me he knew what you were talking about.
He didn't even know what the dial-up sound was. I was like, you don't remember the...
Oh, yeah.
You're welcome, guys, for that beautiful memory.
Seared into our brains.
He didn't even know. And I was like, isn't that wild in our 5-year age gap, how fast technology was just quadrupling every day, it felt like. We got to experience that. And I think that's why, like, millennials were so adaptable, because we experienced so much change so fast.
Absolutely.
And we're more willing to accept change because it's all we really know.
And it's inevitable. Faster we can get on board with it and go with the flow, the more resilient we're going to be in the long run.
Look at everybody that said that Bitcoin wasn't going to be anything. And I remember seeing this guy a couple weeks ago. He did an interview. He had bought a pizza for like 28 Bitcoins. And now if he would have held on to those, he'd be like multi millionaire. But he paid for a pizza with that. Right now, if you're not where you want to be, it doesn't mean that you're not going to change and your value isn't going to go up over time as you change, if you're willing to change. You got to be willing to.
Yes, absolutely. And I think reasoning and composure go hand in hand. I think they've got to be besties, because if you do not have a high level of composure, you're certainly not going to be able to tap into your best thinking. Your emotions are going to get the best of you. You're going to have mental blocks. Your brain, the way it works, when you're stressed out about something and you've got cortisol racing through your body, which is the stress hormone, it actually shuts off the part of your brain that's necessary to think through things. Because your body is in fight or flight mode. It's in survival mode. And you don't need this luxury of strategic thinking and creativity and executive functioning from your smart brain when you're just trying to survive.
It's literally flight or fight. Fight or flight. I remember, gosh, guys, please remember, I am a changed woman. I'm a housewife now. But the first time I got punched in the face at the Rusty Spur in Fort Wayne on quarter beer night.
Anything with Rusty in the title, I'm out.
Immediately, as I should have been. But I didn't even feel it. I remember I looked at my friend Delvin and I said, did she just punch me in the face? And he said, yeah. But I was so mad. My cortisol, my adrenaline was so high.
Yeah.
I literally didn't even feel it. So if that's just like one example of that, how many times have we made terrible choices because our brain was rushed with cortisol? Your reasoning completely goes out the window if you are not composed.
Yeah. 100%. So you can't get overly emotional about things. You have to be able to override those emotions and tell yourself, hey, we need to take a breather. That's where the mindfulness comes in. So reasoning, really, the best reasoning skills only happen if your composure is in check. So again, all of these things are so interconnected. And then moving to the health domain, which is where we're headed. And we've talked, I mean, you can't isolate health because it really is a huge part of our entire being. So health is not on an island of its own. Rather, it's all very much connected. And we've talked about it in conversations already quite a bit because health is so important. And really what we're going to focus on from a big picture perspective with health is our sleep, exercise, nutrition, and then health views and goals around our health.
Yeah.
And I think a big aha moment for me when going through this training was when Yuri, the founder of Driven, said, most people don't feel like their purpose on this planet is tied to their health. Except for professional athletes.
And professional athletes are they're doing it because that's their livelihood.
Yep.
But then when they lose their ability to do their sport, their health doesn't always stay.
No.
They've lost the reason why they want to be healthy in the first place.
Absolutely. And that to me was a big aha moment. So we have to get over the fact that health is not something that most people want to prioritize until they need to prioritize it.
Well, think about this. 96% of people that are listening to this and in the world in general, 96% of people trade their time for money. Meaning they're working a 9 to 5. 96%. You're sitting at an office all day in a cubicle. That's, for me personally, why I couldn't do my corporate job. Like, sitting there 8 hours a day, I was like, I needed to get out of there.
That's why we're building a gym in our office, so that we can move around.
Come see us.
Yeah.
But what do? They say, hey, we're going to give you this HSA plan. You have to put your money into it. Here's your health insurance that you also have to pay for. You're also going to have a copay. You're also going to have a deductible. And we can't promise that we're going to cover all your medications, but we want you to sit here at this desk. We're going to have carry-ins. We're going to give you free lunch on Fridays. You only have an hour lunch break, so you better pack your lunch, or you're going to run to Chick-fil-A in your hour that you have. There's a reason that there's a lot of people that are struggling with their health, and heart disease is the number one killer in the United States, and it's 100% preventable.
Mm-hmm.
But people are not doing what they need to do because they don't know.
I will say there's a small percentage of the population that might have a genetic disorder or condition, pre-existing condition, something like that.
Why are you talking about me?
I know. I know. But it's true. That's a small percentage. Mm-hmm. It is very clear if you do any kind of research, and by far type 2 diabetes is by and large the most common form of diabetes, which is entirely lifestyle based. Mm-hmm. We have more people with heart health issues, obesity, cancer. I mean, our world is not in great shape. Our country is not in great shape. We have to do something about it. It is our responsibility. And you think about it, you are given one body. Mm-hmm. You have one body during your entire lifetime. This thing has to go the distance. Could you imagine if you were only allowed to drive one car your entire life? So from like
it better be a Lamborghini or a Bentley or something.
Well, you'd get a luxury car and you'd put premium fuel in that thing, right? Are we putting premium fuel in our body? Are we treating our bodies like they're luxury vehicles?
No.
I mean, guilty myself, right?
No, that's my biggest goal right now. One of my friends hit me up and asked if I would start working out with her. And I was like, yeah. She's like, you look so good. Are you just maintaining? Are you doing your macros? And I said, girl, honestly, my workouts are where I need them to be, but my sleep, terrible, because I like to treat myself and stay up after my toddler goes to bed and then wonder why I'm dragging butt in the morning.
That's punishing yourself.
Punishing myself. And I'm not eating the best, like full transparency. I'm not eating the way I need to be eating. And if I change that one thing, I said I would have the 6-pack that I've been working for if I would just change my eating. So that's my goal moving forward. This quarter is Jason and I decided we're going to start meal prepping. I bought the little containers.
Oh, heck yeah.
So I'm one step closer, but a lot of people are not doing any of the things. They're not talking nice about their body, talking nice about themselves. So because their self-image is low, they don't feel like they're worth working out. They don't feel like their body is worthy of being fit. Mm-hmm. And it all starts, we know this, it all starts with how we think about ourselves.
Absolutely.
And what we think we deserve, and being willing to be uncomfortable to get to where we want to be.
Yeah.
Like, it's uncomfortable if I told you that today I had a Celsius, I had some crumble cookies, I had some leftover $1 million spaghetti. I did a lot today. I was babysitting though, so I wasn't at my house.
Well, and think about it, okay? So this is where reasoning and health go hand in hand, because what do we have in the reasoning domain? Prevention and planning. And you think about what meal prep is.
Kylie.
I know.
But this is perfect.
I would be remiss if I did not make this a coaching moment for both of us, because shit is always going to be busy. Mm-hmm. We are responsible for planning ahead and looking ahead. And
I knew I was babysitting for a week.
Right.
I knew better.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Our brain is going to make best available choices. Mm-hmm. And if best available is the spaghetti and the crumble cookie, that's what the only option your brain is going to see available. Yep. Right? Whereas, like, even on the go, if you had said, oh, I'm going to babysit, I'm going to make a smoothie real quick and take it in a cup on the way out so that I can have this mobile meal, right? And I prep my smoothies in advance because I know that for me to take out the frozen bag of blueberries, the frozen bag of strawberries, the banana, the spinach, pineapple, the handful of spinach. I mean, I got to go in the fridge. I got to go in the freezer. I got to get the blender out. I got to get the banana peeled. And then I got to scoop the protein and then
clean out the smoothie thing.
All the things have to happen, right? So if I can give myself fewer excuses and eliminate any of the reasons that would deter me from making the smoothie, making the smart choice, I'm more inclined in that moment to make a good decision because that is one of my available options.
Yeah.
But we know, out of sight, out of mind. If I'm not consciously thinking about, what options I made available to myself in advance, I'm just going to make a decision on the fly. I mean, I'll be honest. We were working late on the office last night, and we decided, hey, let's go grab pizza. I wanted to treat everybody who was working so hard. And we went and got pizza afterwards. And even when you're eating out, you have the option to make better choices. So we got a gluten-free crust because we've been on a gluten-free journey the last couple of months. That has been a huge game changer. I feel so much better, honestly. And
I mean, even when I was watching your guys' dogs, you guys had nothing but healthy options.
Yeah.
And it was kind of making me laugh because I was like, man, I have no choice here but to be healthy.
Yeah.
It was all healthy choices. And that's kind of how our household is too. Like, we don't bring anything in our house that has dairy.
Yeah.
Because Jason and Amar still, they just don't have good reactions to it.
Yeah.
But thank God my toddler loves fruit. We do a lot of like fruit and berries. But my friend Destiny, it's kind of my junk food house. So when I want to like splurge a little bit, I'm like, okay, I'm going to eat dinner at home. But I know when I go over there, I'm going to want a sweet treat.
Well, and the treat yourself culture is what we have to be cognizant of because we can't, if we start rewarding ourselves with food, we're teaching ourselves to associate food as a reward. And it's going to just reinforce the dopamine hits.
That is why the nutrition thing. And I even thought about doing like the Herculean meals or like a meal prep company.
Absolutely.
Because let's be real, groceries are insanely expensive anyways, and if I am eating food that's not nutrient dense, I'm going to eat more crap anyways. I might as well just pay and have everything taken care of. I don't have to stress about what am I going to eat. And right now we're very much in the stage of making 2 dinners every night, one for Jason and I, and then something my beige phase toddler will eat. But I had to be honest with myself and say, okay, I know I could be getting better results if I changed this thing, but we all know we should be doing better.
Yeah.
It's the knowing and doing and giving ourselves the reason of, okay, what did I say my goal was? And am I actually taking the action that lines up with that goal?
Absolutely.
My 6-pack is screaming at me right now. It's like, I'm under here.
It's there. Let me out. It's there. It's right there. It's there. Yeah. So we're going to be digging into all of those things. We're going to talk to some health experts along the way that are going to really help us get more scientific information on some of the things we've talked about. And we're going to talk more about this because it's so important. And you think about it, there's gobs of people that we all know. I mean, cancer is more common now than it ever was. I remember as a kid, like, I don't think I knew anybody that had cancer until I got to high school. Yeah. Now it's like I can probably count on like tons of hands the number of people I know that have had cancer. It's more and more common now than it ever has been. It's because we're now eating more processed food than we ever have. So we have to start getting mindful about the things we're putting into our body because this is our luxury vehicle that we have for the rest of our lives.
Yeah. I saw something that I think it said like breast cancer rates had increased by like 230% in the last 20 years. That's a lot.
That's insane.
And it's like you said, it's what we're consuming. Because cancer is just inflammation. It's our body is not processing something. And the more, artificial flavors, colors, preservatives that we put into our body, that's not nourishing us at all.
No. I think one of the first things we can do for our health is start noticing how your body reacts to the food that you put in it.
Gosh. Yes.
Yeah, because your body will tell you everything it needs and doesn't want.
Yeah. That's why I stopped being vegan. It was a huge choice for me to make. I literally cried over it multiple times because being vegan it kind of became my identity with people. When they would think of me, they're like, oh, the vegan girl. When I decided to stop being vegan and I told Jason, he was like, well, why? And I was like, I'm eating more junk food now than I ever have in my life. Mm-hmm. Can you be plant-based and be healthy? Absolutely. If you're doing whole foods, plant-based. Was I disciplined enough for that? No. The Impossible burgers, the Impossible chicken tenders, all those things. I had eczema so bad, and it didn't start until I started being vegan. And I was eating a whole bunch of soy products, and then I realized I developed a soy intolerance. Mm-hmm. And it was probably 2 or 3 weeks after I completely stopped eating soy-based products and switched back to having chicken incorporated in my diet and salmon, all the things, completely went away. There's a huge correlation between what we're eating, how we're moving our bodies, and how our brain is functioning. And anyone that's had eczema, you know that it affects your sleep. You feel the itchiness the most when you're getting ready to go to bed. And I even noticed my mood had significantly increased once I switched back to a quote-unquote regular diet because I was able to sleep.
Yeah.
I wasn't as agitated and irritated, and the whole time I thought my eczema was just from stress because that's what the doctors were telling me. And keep in mind, most physicians, they only receive on average 10 to 15 minutes of education on nutrition.
Yeah, that's really not their lane. They don't even want to touch it. They've in some cases been instructed not to talk to you about your nutrition.
Absolutely.
And I also had a doctor tell me, don't eat carbs. Well, your brain needs carbs to function. It is literally called a carbohydrate because it hydrates your brain.
Chris would be so proud right now.
Thank you. I learned it from him. But he'll get into more of that. I know he's bummed he can't be here to talk about health because it is his favorite domain, but he will be back to tell us more about health and
carbohydrates.
And this is just the beginning. We're going to dive deeper into all of these things. And if you have questions specifically, please send them to us. We want to make this podcast as applicable to your life as we possibly can. So if you have health questions or if you have any questions in general, send them our way. We will address them and get you answers. It might not be on air. We might get you answers individually, but we will make sure we answer your questions. If it's something that we think our broader audience would want to hear also, we'll make sure we address it to everybody. But please don't hesitate to contact us and reach out with those questions or comments. If you think what we're saying is garbage, let us know. If you think what we're saying is great, also let us know. We'd prefer the positive feedback, but we'll welcome any constructive feedback as well. So,
and if you're the lemon guy out there, definitely contact us.
Actually, don't. With that, we're out. Thanks for listening to Redefining Resilience.
To learn more about building your mental and physical readiness, check out odysseyresilience.org.
And follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok.